At the beginning of 2020, COVID-19 wreaked havoc, sending the whole world into a lockdown. The global economy slowly shut down, with businesses closing operations. These economic challenges did not spare the media industry, and at the time when the public needed information, journalists were either laid off or they are working in very hard conditions. The newspaper industry itself faced an almost sudden inhalation due to lockdown and social distancing as revenues went lower. The economic stress aside, an already struggling media landscape was also hit by a second virus accompanying COVID-19, the infodemic, which manifested itself in form of fake news, misinformation, and disinformation. And as an organization that is very passionate about keeping journalism alive, we went out to document the impact of COVID-19 to the media industry in Uganda. This very video you're watching is part of a 12-part series featuring media managers answering some of the questions that you'll be watching. Enjoy.
What we saw starting from March across all media houses in Uganda, there was no preparation for crises of this nature. In fact, that's why on the eve of the lockdown, the day the president announced the new wave of restrictions,
it is wise that we temporarily remove these concentration points by closing all the primary and secondary schools, pre-primary, as well as all the universities and tertiary institutions for 1 month, starting with Friday, the 20th of March, 2020, starting at midday.
the following day, many radio stations just played music throughout the day because there was no contingency plan on what to do next. How are we going to transport our employees? How are we going to do A, B, C, and D? So it's a very dangerous situation for media houses to operate like that. It is important to know that disasters can strike, diseases can break out, but if they do and they have a direct effect on what you do, how do you deal with them in the meantime? It is very important. Then it is also important for media houses to begin thinking about retaining senior people in their newsrooms who can ably guide on the angling of stories, on the framing of stories that are important for the well-being of our societies.
I don't think COVID-19 found any institution prepared. Even our Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, I doubt, was prepared for this kind of thing. The scale of actions that needed to be taken, the policy shifts that we saw within a very short time, and the whole scare of what could happen if people were out there. So you don't wake up one day and find that systems have been locked down. People can't move as freely as they were supposed to, and schools have been closed. So many actions with ripple effect. I don't think that any media house was exactly prepared. And the reason I say they were not prepared is because of how they responded to the lockdown, for instance, and to the different challenges that COVID-19 threw their way. So many media houses responded by reducing the number of journalists who can cover stories at that time. Remember, we are going to an election period. They need more journalists, not less. And when I talk about media, I'm not just looking at the media in Kampala. I'm looking more holistically, media upcountry, radio stations upcountry, and reporters upcountry who feed into the national newspapers and so on. So the short answer is they were not prepared.
Let's not just put COVID-19 as the pandemic that showed up. I don't think we were prepared. I think worldwide, because I've seen media houses struggling at the level of international media houses, still struggling to come up with the way out, the strategies on how to operate within the media itself. I mean within the pandemic effects itself. Like any other an organization or parastatal in Uganda, or anything that comes as a disaster, maybe we shouldn't blame them so much that they were not prepared for COVID-19.
I realized that at the beginning of COVID-19, many of us did not actually know what COVID-19 was about. People were calling it coronavirus, people were calling it coronavirus disease, people were, first and foremost, just with the name, we were very confused. 2, how to cover it. We did not have the facts. We started hearing of people who fell sick in China. Students are being locked in their rooms, they can't get out of their dormitories. We interviewed a few people, but many of us assumed that, oh, that's a disease that stays in China. You know, we always see them wear masks and everything. And then we started hearing of people dying, but still it was far away. And then we started hearing of cases somewhere in, I think it was a DRC, it was one case, it was a Belgian man. Still, we were very ill prepared. Even as a newsroom, we started to say to ourselves, issues like the word social distancing, many of us here did not understand it. People did not understand the importance of wearing masks. People did not understand the facts behind this disease. What does it actually do? Everybody was like, it's a flu. Anybody can get it. We are going to get it and we are going to. And then the president started to announce his press conferences. When we actually got to know that it was a serious disease was when the schools were closed. Because we heard that the president was going to make a very important announcement and that the schools were going to be closed. And that's when we started asking ourselves, what exactly is this coronavirus disease? That's when we actually got to know that it's in a family of other diseases, respiratory diseases. But how were we going to cover it? We were all over the place. As a media in Uganda, we were all over the place. So we were very ill prepared because we have never seen something of this magnitude.